Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. In this video, a little bit on the worried side over here, because it does kind of seem like Microsoft once again is under like a pretty big, I guess, I don't know, regulatory issue, I guess for lack of a better term. Basically, because Microsoft has had so many big issues and hurdles when it comes to this huge Activision acquisition. Now, this actually now kind of seeing that we're going to see a lot more pending UK and EU opposition. Looks like the United States is actually pretty anti against this too as well. And basically just like there's like antitrust warnings, there's like big legal stuff, and it's just going on hardcore. Now, we've been trying our best to go cover this pretty decently whenever big news comes out, and it does kind of seem like, well, even more big news kind of is coming out here in the first place. So I'm going to put the audio in the background. And, well, let's just go and talk about it. So if any of you guys are brand new, make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on. We also have the Twitter and Twitch stream down below if you guys want to follow. We have the Target links and Amazon links for all the stocks and over there, and well, it doesn't look that good for Microsoft, so let's go talk about it. So, as I mentioned, Microsoft has been kind of having a lot of struggles when it comes to going through this. But now we're seeing that Microsoft's Activision merger sparks pending UK and EU opposition align with the United States now too as well. So I'm going to highlight this really quick and go a little bit more in depth and detail, but basically the big issue is that these huge big government bodies are still very skeptical, and they kind of have a lot of regrets when it comes to allowing so many big tech-based companies to either get sold or get bought out or merge, and it basically made a huge conglomerate and big like megacorp of a lot of these really big businesses. And well, these governments don't want that because it kind of inhibits growth. It kind of soaks up all the big, money, capitalism, all that type of stuff mixed in. So for them, they say we've been talking about the Microsoft acquisition of Activision Blizzard for over a year now, and the company has nothing to show for it. Thanks to a number of roadblocks, including pushback for several companies and countries alike, the deal that was expected to close this fiscal year is going up against even more now. Reportedly, antitrust regulators in the United States and European Union have fallen into lockstep, with the latter formally warning Microsoft of its impending threat to fair competition in the video game industry. And this kind of been the biggest issue still. Like, there's been a lot of like Sony versus Microsoft issues and them like suing each other and corporate like discovery and everything else, but there is still that big issue of just all these small businesses may not be able to compete, and also may even impact like price points. Might, like, in theory, like what if they just made Call of Duty $100? It's one of the biggest games on the planet, all that type of stuff. So basically last week, sources familiar with the situation told Politico that the EU antitrust agents actually sent out a statement of objections to the Redmond, Washington-based company. This statement reportedly laid out the reasons why the deal could threaten fair competition on the video game market. And namely, there are likely ongoing concerns about Microsoft's potential willingness to block access to Activision's Call of Duty franchise on other platforms and ecosystems such as PlayStation or Steam. And that has kind of been like one of the big ground rules, or even say for Sony, because they don't want to lose access. And this antitrust is basically saying, yeah, you need to make sure that you're not going to completely wipe out one of the biggest video game companies in the entire planet just to go and have like your own kind of selfish growth. So this is one of the big arguments that we heard regarding the situation in September of last year, where regulators from the United Kingdom and the Competition Markets Authority threatened a deeper investigation. However, now concerns such as this may not have been merit, basically to Xbox Phil Spencer going on record in support of keeping the Call of Duty on PlayStation as well. So just, we're seeing a lot more big legal stuff, and this is why we keep on having this antitrust warning over here. And it's kind of like more on the scarier side. So they keep on saying they do want to go, and they are committed, which is nice. Like, we do know that Xbox right now is still committed to finding the path forward. They want this deal, and I'm kind of surprised at the end of the day, because I feel like there's been such a big headache, and it's just, they also overpaid. Like, I think at this point, they're probably overpaying like by like $20 billion due to the stock market going so far down, and as well just the fact that Call of Duty has been doing good, sure, but, well, Activision as a company has still been kind of doing mediocre. So they go and say, we are listening carefully to the European Commission's concerns and are confident we can address them, the spokesperson said. As in an earlier interview, whether he was more confident than a year ago that the deal would get done, Xbox CEO Phil Spencer said he has more knowledge about working with different regulatory boards than before, making him more confident now than I was a year ago, simply based on the information I have and the discussions that we've been having. Which also makes sense too. If you're someone like Phil Spencer, you're probably getting like lawyer reports, you're probably in big stockholding meetings, or maybe you're even flying out to Italy to go and hang out and be like, yo, what's going on with this EU antitrust law that's going on over here? And they do have this big issue because they keep on thinking Call of Duty is incentivized. Duh, because if you spend $70 billion, you want to make money back or get people on Game Pass or whatever it may be. And that's kind of just the big struggle still. Like, it's kind of weird because I understand. I understand that Xbox would want to make a lot of money. You understand that they spend $70 billion. They should have some sort of ownership rights and some sort of just general, I don't know, things going on. I think it's good. But yeah, it's just weird. I don't know. The government, it's just how it is. Like the government doesn't like it. They want to make sure the consumers are good, and as well, even if it does go through, it is a big enough deal to warrant like this discussion. Like a $70 billion deal is that's a lot of money. It's like some of the biggest gaming deals in history. So they go and say, my confidence remains high, Phil Spencer told IGN. We're actively working with the regulatory boards around the world that would need approval for this. It's been a learning experience for me. A lot of time spent, a lot of travel, a lot of conversations, but they're conversations where I get to talk about our industry and the work that we do and while we do it. I think more regulators are informed about what gaming is, how the business runs, who the players are, and what our aspirations is as Team Xbox is as good thing for the industry itself. Now, Xbox has been very consistent on them trying to go push the idea of we want games for everyone. We want to have more people playing our games. We just want vibes. We want to make sure people are enjoying our games. But at the same time, that I've kind of called that a lot, if it's not basically in a proper contract, yeah, it might be cool for 5 years or 10 years or whatever they end up doing, say with PlayStation or Switch or Steam. But then what happens afterwards? Then consumers have to go and soft lock themselves for Call of Duty on either PC, for Game Pass or on Xbox. And that could lead to a lot of issues. And once again, that's why these big regulatory bodies have been asking places like PlayStation or Google or even Switch, like Nintendo, to go and figure out like what they should even go and do. They want to hear feedback if they think it's going to be a bad deal. They want to know if it's going to be, well, good, like at the end of the day. So basically, despite all this type of stuff, the Xbox deal has come under intense scrutiny, still, as we mentioned, from the US, UK, and the EU, with Sony contending that the merger would create a games industry monopoly and has led to an unusually contentious war of words between the two platform holders as they seek to sway regulators too as well. So we already know that some big government bodies are against it. We've seen the Federal Trade Commission or the FTC sue to block the acquisition, which is never good for them to go and do it. Then they have to go to court and basically have to go and have all these lawyers spend bajillions of dollars and go and argue their case on like an individual per basis thing. And that once again also delays out the acquisition, but as well, it also costs a bajillion dollars from lawyers. You don't want to ever have to deal with the government. And the same thing too. We're mentioning how the EU is also having a lot of antitrust issues, which is also one of the biggest legalities when it comes to selling games and having these big products, because you, number one, don't want a monopoly, but number two, you don't want like the big government bodies to already be giving you side eye when you haven't even gone through the acquisition as of yet. And I think that's another big thing where a lot of folks are kind of worried about, because they realize, hey, that's not good. Like, hey, like if this government body is worried about this, that may not bode really well for this acquisition. Now, it's intriguing too because we don't really see too many big, huge ones like this. Like Sony did Bungie for like $4 billion, I think it was. But this is like magnitudes more. This is like 20 times more, which is insane just to see at the end of the day. So both Phil Spencer and Activision Blizzard CEO Bobby Kotick continue to express confidence in the deal closing, with the Kotick writing in an internal memo that the two companies believe these arguments will win despite the regulatory environment focused on ideology and misconceptions about the tech industry. For now, Xbox merger remains very much in doubt too as well, and if it does go through, it won't be without a fight. Now, I kind of want to know your thoughts. Like, do you guys think this is going to go through or not? Now, I'm going to go and say, like, just in the fact that there's so much apprehension against it. Like, when the FTC itself is going to be like, hey, like, let's maybe try to block this deal, I don't think that goes well. Like, I wouldn't be that surprised in the future if I saw an article in the morning saying, yo, Activision's gone. Like, Activision's out. The deal's done. And then we just see the Activision stock go and plummet because, well, it's basically being propped up right now at a way higher acquisition price point that Xbox is kind of stuck it at. And at the same time, too, with all these other big players, but like not even just Sony, like such as Apple and Google, also chiming on in and kind of being anti on the Xbox side, that also makes the case a lot stronger. So we do kind of see Xbox being like the good guy. They have offered on multiple different occasions for them to go, well, deal stuff. They want to go make sure it's good. They want to make sure this deal goes through. They want to make sure everything's vibing. But at the same exact time, too, as well, is it going to happen? I mean, a lot of these government bodies are just not feeling it. Like the EU, as we mentioned throughout this video, not feeling it. The FTC, not feeling it. And everything in between, it does kind of bode that might be a little bit more of a sketchier kind of win at the end of the day. So like I said, I want to hear your thoughts because I'm indifferent. I like Call of Duty. I'm not obsessed with it. Like, I don't mind the Activision games. Sure, like, I'll play them. I'll put them on my Twitch stream, whatever. But it is kind of intriguing because it may actually go and change the future of the gaming industry a lot. And that's probably why they're spending so much time, money, and effort, both on government bodies and as well as Xbox, to make sure it's done right. Because, I mean, you don't want to go and completely go and change gaming as a whole, and then Xbox turns evil, and they're charging $100 a month just for Game Pass, and even then, we'd just be sad. Like, it'd just be sad at the end of the day, and PlayStation loses all their games. So like I said, give me your thoughts and comments down below. Make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on. We have the Twitter and Twitch room down below. We have the Target and Amazon links too as well if you guys want to go check those on out. And I appreciate you guys all so much for watching. And hopefully Xbox can get it on through because I think at this point they probably do at the end of the day.